To add an employee to the WebCOBRA system in order to receive a COBRA initial notice if they are a new hire, newly signing up for benefits, or even if they are a longtime employee signing up for benefits for the first time, or a spouse or dependent signing up for benefits as well, you're going to want to come in and put them into the system to receive that initial notice. And from the home screen, what we're going to want to go to is underneath the QBs, employees, and retirees direct bill participants, we're going to want to go to COBRA Notice Employees, Add New. Now what the system is going to have us do is input all the pertinent information in a series of 5 steps here. And the first step here, we're just simply adding the employee to the appropriate client or employer. Now you guys will likely only have access to only your own company there, so we're just going to simply leave that there as the only company that you have. And then we can also, if we have you guys set up for any sort of departments, divisions, or locations, add an employee to a specific department is what the system calls it, if that's set up, and we'll be able to add them to any sort of appropriate departments on the next step. So likely the first thing that you're going to do within this step 1 is just hit choose and continue. Now step 2 here is the system is asking us to establish a employee group file name. Basically what the system likes to do is take the employee and any of their dependents and put them into what's known as an employee group. So here we're just establishing what that name is. What I like to do is just do the last name, comma, first. This next field here is the QB group identifier. It is an optional field. It's just basically a 15-digit string that allows us to have a unique identifier for this specific field above and beyond the employee's name or social security number or something to that effect. And then the next thing that we have here is asking us how many members do we want to add, including the main participant. Basically, how big is the family? If the employee has a spouse and a child, then we're going to have 3 total members because we need to include the employee in that number as well. So once we have that established, we just go ahead and hit save and continue. And then here we are adding in the employee's pertinent personal and demographic information as well. Now with the WebCOBRA system, it actually does not upfront tell you what fields are required and which ones are optional. However, if I were to try to see through here without putting any information in, or maybe missing one piece or something to that effect, the system is going to prompt us as to which fields that we are missing. So if you're worried about not putting in all the important information before proceeding on through this next step, then the system, you can be rest assured that the system will prompt you as to which fields that you are missing. So here we're going to be adding the employee's name. We're going to be doing the first name first and then the last name last. We're going to want to put in the date of birth. We're going to want to establish the employee's social security number, which is technically it's an optional field, but the socials are something that we like to have on file, especially in the cases of any actual COBRA participants. So if any issues arise with those COBRA members, we can contact the carrier and more effectively communicate them to resolve whatever's happening. This QB ID is an optional field, as is the employee ID. They're just additional identifiers. The gender here is pretty self-explanatory. We don't need any sort of salary or payroll information within the system. That's not, again, relevant to COBRA. And the system is going to want an original hire date. This last question here, print and dependents after the last name in the letters. There's actually a provision within COBRA law that requires us to address this letter and any correspondence to the employee and any covered dependents, including spouses, children, etc. But that is actually something that we have built into the back end of the system in the actual letter templates themselves. So that's not anything that you guys have to worry about configuring to be yes or no. Again, that's something that's automatically produced on the back end of the system. So whenever you see this, you can just leave that as no. These next 2 sections that we have here, benefit plan coverage and prior activity, are optional. This benefit plan coverage here is just establishing when the employee had coverage through a prior employer. It's just establishing things just to get any sort of a core credible coverage or establishing any sort of pre-existing exclusion windows or anything like that. So it's not really anything that we specifically keep track of within WebCOBRA. So again, that's something that you can skip there. And prior activity, that's just something, again, establishing anything that has been previously sent. So if this is a new hire or any sort of new dependent or anything like that, you're not going to want to put anything in the prior activity since you're going to be entering in people on an ongoing basis. You can, again, just skip that section there. And then we have contact information. So this is pretty simple, pretty straightforward. We just put in the address, city, state, and zip. Phone numbers and email addresses, if you have them, great. If not, not a big deal. And then we have the employee's dependents down here at the bottom. Here we're just establishing the employee's name, or excuse me, the dependent's names. So we do the first name, the last name, and we're also establishing whether or not the employees live at the same, or the dependents live at the same address as the employee, and if not, if they need to receive their copy of their all the correspondence. Most of the time, you'll leave the same addresses as their own copy of their own correspondence subsequently as so. So once we have that entered in, we hit save and continue. And then here we're entering in any of the dependent's personal or demographic information. So we put in the dependent's date of birth, the relationship to the employee. You can get as specific or as generic as you want to. The QBID, again, is going to be another optional field. And then the dependent SOCH, which again is something that we'd like to have on file, but especially for dependents, we do realize that in cases of newborns that may not have a dependent, or excuse me, a social security number assigned to them yet, that might not be any information that's available to you. So we're just going to plug that in like so, and then the gender. And then we have the child's date of birth, the relationship, their SOCH, and their gender. So we just hit save and continue from here, and then step 5, last step here, we're just reviewing any of the information that we put in. So we're making sure that the address is in correctly, the employee's date of birth, the dependent's information as well. And if we do notice that anything is incorrect or we entered something in wrong, we can jump back and forth between these wizard steps here and edit any information as we need to. Otherwise, if everything here looks good, we just scroll down to the bottom and hit save and add employee group. And then from here, the system will give us a confirmation message that the employee ad wizard was completed and everything was submitted correctly. So from here, we can either review the information that we put in, go back to the home page, or restart the ad wizard if we need to add additional employees. And so what happens here from at this point is we actually get a notification that there is an initial notice pending for your particular group, and we go into the system, we print off that notice, and send it off to that employee.